it was not comedy either. Sometimes it would just be the amount of blood being sprayed onto somebody's face.
Oh, that
and just
his poor daughter when he chainsaws Lee Majors, and she's right behind it and just
all over her face.
The better one is
screaming.
at the end, I think, when she wood chips the phone demon.
Oh, I love that whole
yes.
scene.
Because remember, if you remember when we talked about Evil Dead Rise, and you know at the end where the protagonist is caked in blood.
Oh yeah.
After putting the deadite through the I can't remember which machine.
That unholy amalgamation of things that goes into a wood chipper. Yeah, Brandy runs over the phone demon with a snowblower.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that same, like, this isn't just splattered. You are like literally like a cake slathered in very thick blood. And Brandy's reaction to it is, just a big old ungodly what the fuck.
Oh yeah.
Well, that whole sequence with her and the phone demon is full of so many callbacks to Evil Dead lore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just the look and feel of her, like you haven't truly gotten your like jump in the Evil Dead gang until you are that caked in blood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's also the casting of Brandy for a little bit in this series didn't quite work for me until she starts buying into the supernatural.
Yeah.
Like once she realizes what's going on, you start to realize, oh, she got this job because she does a really good play on Bruce Campbell's Ash.
Yeah.
Like once she gets into that side of it, suddenly every bit of her casting makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I know Jesse and I just briefly, like before we started recording, touched on her character, and he was like, "Oh, I wasn't a fan." Yeah, she's twatty in the beginning, but like you said, when she starts doing all the good Evil Dead stuff, that's when she's working.
Yeah,
That's when her character really comes alive. We both cut you off there, Jesse, but you said you laughed just the amount of blood that was happening.
Yeah, the bloodletting, and of course the splat stick that was mentioned. That's just over the top, and I'm right there with Robert. Like I do feel that there's a bit of a hole left, when this series went away. And I immediately was like, I've got to find out. Somebody had to have continued this in the comics, and it looks like they sort of did. I don't know if that's a direct because it really acts like it picks up from the last instance of the original ending for the third film. But regardless, it was billed and promoted like, hey, Stars fans, check out the continuation in the comics. So yeah, there was a hole there, and I felt like I had to fill it somehow. And usually, you at least find a comic sometimes. If it's a good show, it's going to pick it up. And of course, Ash and the Evil Dead have been in comics for quite a while. But yeah, man, I mean, this was, again, it was a great time. I want to go back to Brandy real quick and just talk about how she was kind of like really annoying at the beginning, and I just didn't like the whole on the fence. Okay, who do I believe? Who do I not believe? I think that was my biggest criticism of the season. Really, yeah. And I know you like the father-daughter dynamics, and
I do, but I also think like I think her not trusting Ash played on the stuff from the second season about we all think you're a serial killing
Ashy Slashy.
Yeah, we all think you're Ashy Slashy, and for me, again, everything is pointing to he's a lunatic. Why wouldn't she believe it? Also, that seems to be the motif of this show of nobody believes Ash until it's well past too late.
And boy, does it get too late in this one.
Really?
Yeah. To Jesse's point, though, I think the problem with that beat is that it extends about an episode too long.
Okay.
There's because like the episode where she helps him like after the which one was it? Hang on, I'm trying to remember. The episode before Ruby winds up being publicly revealed. So this is a little bit before Kelly dies. Like right after Pablo attacks them in the trailer, after he becomes evil for a little bit. The fact that after that she's still like on the fence about Ash, and we just extend that beat one segment too long for it to really kind of land. I do love, however, that part of Ash's pitch to her is when he's trying to explain what's going on, he said, "Yeah, I'm a lousy liar. I couldn't make this up if I tried."
Right. I think what Ash's charm is that he's dumb. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
he is a tank. He is just he is all vice, all impulse, all lack of self-control. So he doesn't have the wherewithal or the manipulative ability to tell this kind of a lie this big.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible for him. He doesn't have like his intelligence in his D&D character is like a 2. You know?
No, hang on. I would actually argue that Ash's intelligence is okay. It's his wisdom that's rock stupid.
Okay.
As I was saying it, I was like maybe trade out wisdom for intelligence, but you get the drift.
Yeah, like there's a few of those stats that he has dumped for lots of charisma.
Yeah. No, his charisma's a 10.
20.
Oh yeah.
20 is the cap, but yeah.
Okay. It's been a while since I played D&D. But either way,
there was a time when that was the max. Now it's 20, give or take.
Yeah, so his charisma and his strength are both like high. His intelligence and wisdom, mildly retarded. So he's not capable of like next level manipulation that you would for any of this to be nonsense.
Yeah. So I appreciate that that's part of his pitch, but ultimately I do agree with Jesse that the Brandy on the fence thing just goes one episode or so too long before they really kind of get together, because she drives him away from the cops, and that's the point at which her character finally comes to life.
Right.
Their interactions are actually pretty solid. If you watch her character throughout this season, you basically get Ash from Evil Dead through the end of Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
She takes that trip over the course of these this hour and 10 episodes, 30 minutes. So however long that 5 hours, give or take.
I thought it was an interesting thing with Ash of, I'm an irresponsible cad who beds lots of easy women. Okay, well, you have a kid now. Okay, well, I'm going to be responsible and take care of that child as best I can. And fold that into, saving her and saving the greater world from evil.
It's actually kind of refreshing that he didn't run away from responsibility.
Yeah, which is a big theme of this season and the show overall. Because I mean, I said this about Big Hero 6. If you missed it, the characters will just flat out tell you. And in here, it's like he literally, like, short of grabbing the camera and speaking directly into it, says, I have to stop running away from all my fights.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. But, the writing of this character, and bless everyone involved for understanding how to take this character with that kind of a curveball being thrown their way and have him behave in a way that is quintessentially still Ash Williams, but also not be a complete bag of dirt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one of the strengths of the writing is they understand. I'm going to bring this up because I think it's worth talking about in terms of this has now become a lost art. The writing of a hero.
Yeah.
We talk about this a lot on Damn You Hollywood, that a lot of times the heroes are like modern heroes are undone by the women in the feature, or they're undone by circumstance, or they're made to be crippled and having to be saved by women, yada yada yada. And we complain incessantly that modern Hollywood writing does not know how to write a hero that not even just men, but a general audience will cheer and want to see win in the end. And here's a really great example of a well-written archetype. Ash is in many ways a very well-written, solid fantasy hero, and you can't then go and make him terrible. You'll undo all the good work you did.
Yeah. And a lot of modern writers would try to do that. And that's not lest that come across as overly political sentiment. That's a skill issue more than anything else. It's just.
I think it's also like self-inserts and projection, but
Oh yeah, there's.
We don't have an hour to get into all
we
that.
don't, but yeah, Bruce Campbell also just generally being very protective of this character and having just such a wonderful handle on him. And being able to, potentially advocate for like, no, this isn't how he'd react. Like he's never going to turn into a paragon. He's not supposed to be.
Right.
But threading the needle between the kind of guy you want to see lose and the kind of guy you root for, even though he's kind of an idiot.
Well, he does, I think, tap into sort of middle age fantasy projection, power fantasy. Like, we're all, to one degree or another, middle-aged guys here. Who wouldn't want to be Ash? A chainsaw-wielding, evil-defeating, sex machine.
I mean, there's not to be the odd man out, just to be the odd man out, but
I understand some of that will not personally go with it, Robert. You know what I'm saying. There's a bit of he taps into a bit of power fantasy for middle-aged men. Because I don't think necessarily a kid looks at Ash and goes, "That's what I want to be." Maybe, but even maybe so.
Come on, you're okay. I don't mean to push a potential button here.
Yeah, no, okay, you're good.
You can't tell me your son wouldn't cheer for Ash.
You cut me off, but yeah, that's where I was going with that. Like my son, maybe I would want to be that at his age. I don't want to be that now. I'm 10 and have a future. But should I ever be in my 40s, I would like to be the 40-year-old chainsaw-wielding sex machine. So,
sure.
So,
right.
It's weird because this iteration of Ash, once you get to like end of Evil Dead 2 and beyond, is very much the kind of character that 10-year-olds like.
Yeah.
It's and then anyone in their 20s looks at him and goes, no. By the time you get by the time you get to the back end of 30 to 40, you look at that and go, you know what? Why not? Let's just indulge.
Ash Williams for president. I mean,
you know what?
There's definitely worse out there. Ahem. Anyway, let's focus in.
He would have been the most qualified candidate of the three if he was in the last one.
Okay. So, Ashy Slashy for president.
Got my vote.
We're slashing federal laws.
He slashes the budget. He slashes our enemies. And he still manages to have less sex in the White House than JFK.
Already.
Come on, campaign slogans, people. Let's get to work on this.
I want to start to wrap on this because I want to talk about Pablo and Kelly, and then we have to talk about that ending. But I like. We've touched on a couple of different beats. I kind of want to hit the broader strokes with this. I like the fact that Ash and Brandy, their relationship develops over time, and by the end of it, I'm very attuned, and Jesse, I think you can weigh on this too. I'm very attuned to the father-daughter dynamic. Because fathers and daughters are slightly different than fathers and sons, the way that they interact with each other.
Oh, how dare you insinuate that boys and girls are different, Mark?
I know. In the year of our Lord 2024, what has come over me? But I'm gonna talk about this by bringing up something personal that happened, and I'm not gonna do an hour-long tangent, but indulge me. I was recently at an event with my daughter, and there was an issue. I got annoyed. I walked away from the parties involved and my daughter and just walked ahead of everybody. And my daughter ran after me and was like, "Father, where are you going?" She calls me father. And she said to me, "When I'm home, I retreat to my room because my room is my space. By home, I mean her mother's home. I retreat to my safe space. That's where I feel safe. That's where I can decompress. That's where I can get away from the world." when I'm at your place, you are my safe space. I don't need to go anywhere. And I think one of the roles a father plays, and I mean, you're the protector of your family in general, but I think even more so with your daughters, being that strong mentor, protector figure for your daughter. There's there's books upon books upon books, just years of research utterly neglected and and completely just just completely thrown out the window. But a lack of strong father figure in the life of a young girl is way detrimental. There's oodles of research to back me up on that. So to hear my daughter say, "You're my safe space," I was like, "Well, thank God, I'm doing something right in my life."
Right.
And that comes out, to bring this back to Ash versus Evil Dead. That comes out in the relationship between Brandy and Ash. They bond. The thing that bonds them is the fact that Ash is protecting her, and she's in this very weird space, able to kind of blossom and become a strong figure in her own right, which is how you parent. You protect them so that they have space to grow and be independent on their own. Back me up here, Jesse. So, what do you think of all that? What I'm saying, your reactions, what's going on with you?
Well, I've been, this is what a weird show to actually start discussing, like parental and children and their dynamic with each other, because not only do you have Ash and his daughter Brandy, this girl he just met, he had no idea he has a teenage daughter. Thank goodness he didn't have to deal with them when they were little kids. But
when they were pooping today.
That's right. But you also have to think about Ash and his father, and their dynamic too, and what he has there, and how bad that was, and how Ash doesn't fall in to what his father was like. He's trying. He's definitely reaching out. Yeah. Well, granted, his dad did, blame him, and I guess some people, but there was definitely, they weren't on the best of terms. We'll just put it that way.
Well,
so
I mean, when I say benign neglect, I'm talking even before the camping trip to hell. Ash talks about how his father wasn't there for him even growing up, and that there was conflict, and Ash's father kind of parented from an island, and it was either be on the island with me or fuck off.
Right.
And Ash fucked off.
He learns from that and decides that, he's not going to follow in his father's footsteps. So, and yeah, it's great for, as far as his daughter and their relationship, as short as it is throughout these 10 episodes, he's able to, just like you said, they're able to create a bond, and a father-daughter bond, to where by was the second to last episode, or maybe it was the last episode, where they're finishing each other's sentences or jokes, and Pablo looks at Kelly and says, "Yeah, there's two of them now." So
that might be my favorite line of the entire season.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great to kind of see that. And boy, I wasn't expecting that bit of knowledge to come through in a show where it's just gallons and gallons of blood thrown at everybody. But yeah, I mean, I feel you, man. It's kind of good to be able to actually, you're being a parent, you're being a father, you're able to make your kid feel safe in some way, and try to help them out. And my gosh, in that universe,
I was gonna say, if you're making your child feel safe while there's zombies running around, parent of the century,
you win, Ash. Another victory, sir. You are the hero.
Achievement unlocked, super dad.
You are the hero.
Robert, you want to weigh in here? If not, we can move on to something else.
You two are fathers of daughters. I am not anything. I do think, though, that one of the nice things about this show, about this season, it was able to kind of help push Ash along that path, in no small part thanks to the episode where he gets closure with Lee Majors. The episode where we get one of my favorite, because I had forgotten about the gag where they go into Brock's memory and then Brock is able to walk through walls and whatnot because he's a ghost, and then Ash tries to replicate it and just face plants into a door.
Yes.
Which it caught me off guard, and that's why I laughed at it. But letting those two kind of have their moment of having their moments together during that scene, it helped a lot, because if Ash just goes from kind of making up with his dad to his dad dies to killing Deadite version of his dad, bringing back Lee Majors to do the role, if he's going to be the Deadite version, you do need to pay that off on the happy end as well. Like, that's not one that could end on a downer and still be satisfying.
Right.